Okay, how many lengths of pipe 2 5/8 feet long can be cut from a pipe 21 feet long? Well, 2 5/8, we've got to convert this into a fraction, and then we're going to divide by a fraction. Or we're going to divide fractions. So anyhow, that's 2 and plus 5/8. So the common denominator here is 8. So we have to multiply this thing by 1 in the form of 8/8. And 2 times 8 is 16, plus 5 and all over 8, which equals 21/8. And by the way, that's in feet, 21/8 feet. Now we have this pipe that's 21 feet long, and we've got to divide it by the length of each segment and see how many of these segments are in there. So by the way, 21 is the same as 21/1. You don't have to do it this way, but I want to point that out, 21/1. The denominator, why don't we see that? Because 1's the only number that's understood. You don't have to write it down, unless it's essential to do so. And so now we have 21/8 feet. That's the length of each section of pipe, or segment. And notice the feet divide out. And so now I've got 21/1 divided by 21/8. And so we're going to invert and multiply. In other words, the long story is we're going to multiply by 1 in the form of the reciprocal of the denominator times the denominator under the reciprocal of the denominator. See, and the product of reciprocals is 1, so they're gone. And what we have now is 21 times 8. And when you multiply, by the way, you just multiply straight across. When you divide, you have to invert and multiply. When you invert and then multiply. But when you multiply fractions, you just multiply straight across. And so that's product of the denominator. It's the product of the product of the numerator. Here's the product of the denominators. 1 times 21 is 21. Now, as long as it's a product, as long as you don't have a plus or minus sign here, everything's multiplication, things just divide out, and we're left with 8. So there's 8 sections, or segments, that can be cut, of a length, by the way, of 2 5/8 feet, can be cut from a pipe 21 feet long. So that's it. Well, we're going to add fractions. Here's our problem. How long a bolt is needed to go through a piece of tubing 5/8 inches thick, long, a washer 1/16 inch thick, and a nut 1/4 inch thick? In other words, we just have to add these widths up, and that'll be the length of the bolt we need to go through them. So, and let's do it. So we have 5/8, and I'm going to leave the units out. 5/8 plus 1/16, and these are all in inches, plus 1/4, and those are in inches, and this equals. Now, what we need when you add or subtract fractions, you need a common denominator. Well, will you agree that 16 is a multiple of 4 and of 8? So, and in order to get a 16 here, in this denominator, the only thing we can do is multiply the fraction as we've done in the past, by 1, but 1 in the form of our choice. So 4 times what is 16? Well, 4. So I'll multiply by 1 in the form of 4 over 4. Well, there's already a 16 in this denominator, but to get a 16 here, I have to multiply by 2, so I'll multiply by 1 in the form of 2 over 2. And now, there's our 16 in the denominator. Inches are the units. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1, plus, and 1 times 4 is 4. So let's add those up, and we've got this denominator of 16. The units are inches. And 4 and 1 is 5, plus 10 is 15. So we're talking 15/16 inches.